Hey, and welcome to Habits for Humans, the podcast that explores what makes people tick and how to program this brain of ours through habits. We're going to explore how and why we sometimes can rock it in some areas of our life, while in other areas we just really struggle. If we want to be happy and healthy, what is the secret to programming our brain to maximize our potential? Today, I'm so excited. We have a fabulous guest, Leticia, who is a mom rocking a side hustle. And we're so excited to hear some of her tips and tricks of how she manages a family as well as a side business. I'm your host, Pamela Henrie, and today we're going to talk about this topic, and productivity is our focus. And Leticia Benning is our guest today, and she will help us with that. But we have several giveaways before we get started for our listeners. So make sure that you listen to the end so that you get your free giveaways. And we also have a word from our sponsors. So this episode of Habits for Humans is brought to you by Card Salad. And Card Salad is a company that provides done-for-you meal planning. And I know that meal planning sometimes is the toughest part of the day, trying to figure out what you want to eat. And this is a done-for-you meal planning so that you don't ever have to just reach for that fast food or mac and cheese or whatever your go-to quick, maybe not so healthy food choice is. And it is brought to you by The Success Choice, a company that provides tools to help you filter through the noise of life and establish positive routines to find balance, order, and joy in the journey. All right, I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. Leticia is a young mother of two little boys. She has a thriving cello studio that has been helped along by the pandemic. So it's one of those businesses that was helped by the pandemic, which is awesome. We love to hear those success stories. And she just launched her first book, Bass Clef Black Belt. So I'm excited to introduce Leticia. Welcome. So excited to have you here.
Hi,
First of
glad
all,
to be here.
thank you. First of all, I want to know, tell me, what is your business that you're doing? What is your side hustle that you are doing?
Right, so I have a cello studio that's mostly online, and um, so I just teach in my home, and I mean, it's really just part-time. And then I have been writing music theory books.
Awesome. So you do it through Zoom? Is that how you do your lessons?
Some are through Zoom, some are through a platform called Ant.
Okay. Awesome. And you have two little boys, is that correct? What are their
Yes.
ages?
The oldest just turned 3 on New Year's Eve. And then I have a baby who's 6 months old now.
Awesome. So anyone who is a parent, you know that having a toddler and a baby is no simple feat in itself. So having a side business with two small children, I know that there are people listening that either want to do something like that or are struggling to try to do something like that to fit in a side business with a family. Tell me some tips. Tell me a little bit about your routine and how you fit in a side business with two small children.
Definitely. Um, so when I'm teaching, my husband's in grad school, so he's not much help. He's very busy. But while I'm teaching, they go to a friend's house who we pay her, but not as much as like childcare would cost. So that's very helpful. So they're over there 4 hours in the evening while I teach, and I just try and get everything done in those 4 hours. And if a student cancels, which happens probably every week, then that's the time to do all the extra stuff that comes up. I have to plan recitals, and sometimes I write out music for students or things like that. So I just try and keep all of it in those 4 hours so that I'm available the whole rest of the day for for my little boys.
So you block off time on your calendar. So you've decided in advance when your work time is. So it's 4 hours in the evening, you say? So you've blocked
Hmm.
off time on your schedule. So I think that is the key part, is to make your business a business, right? You've got to block off that time on your schedule. And for you, you've made arrangements to have someone else watch your children during that time, which is awesome. I know when I was a young mother and I lived back east and I wasn't close to any family, I did some time trades with some friends, so I would watch their kids for the certain amount of time and they would watch my kids for a certain amount of time. And so that's another option if money is tight for daycare. But if you can afford to hire someone, that is awesome. That's great. So tell me about a little bit about the balance part of it. How do you fit in time for yourself, even with, I know that you're a runner, and how do you fit in time for yourself besides a business and children?
Yeah. Um, I just ran a marathon last weekend. So it
Awesome.
has been kind of time consuming to find time to run that much. Um, what's I run early in the morning. So I just do it before the kids wake up and before my husband leaves for school. Um, but then sometimes my husband has helped a lot to to watch the kids when I'm doing those really long runs. So I do have a good support system, but sometimes you have to sacrifice some sleep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you have to prioritize a little bit. So you're prioritizing running because so in fact, this reminds me that I forgot to ask. We usually ask what is number one habit that helps you to manage your own mental wellness, that helps you manage the stresses of life. Is running that for you, or is there something else that helps you manage your stress?
Oh, I think running is that. Yeah, I really love it. And not only is it healthy, but I feel like I'm getting me time
Mm-hmm.
and I get a couple hours I'm not thinking about kids or even work. Maybe I listen to a podcast and just enjoy myself.
Yeah, that's awesome because the rest of your day is pretty solid, I would imagine, right?
Yes,
So, if you don't prioritize that time, it's not going to happen, right?
definitely. Can definitely slip away.
For sure. I know. If I don't work out in the morning, I will always will have the best intentions and think, I'm busy this morning, I'm going to work out later. It never happens. So if I don't work out in the morning, it doesn't happen. So I think that's important. So you're prioritizing and scheduling and blocking off time in the morning for yourself, and you're prioritizing and scheduling and blocking off time for your business in the evening. Is that correct?
Hmm.
And then the rest of the time is kids, right?
Yes. And then when they take a nap, that's when I work on writing the books.
The book. Okay, awesome. So nap time is writing time. So
Yes.
you predetermined that. So tell me, how did you get started teaching cello?
Well, I've taken music lessons my whole life, and then I got my bachelor's degree in music education. But I really enjoy teaching one-on-one. So I'd much rather be in a private studio
Mhm.
working with these students who really care about the instrument and have these goals that I get to help them achieve in this one-on-one time. So I think it's just the dream job. I get to talk about my favorite thing, which is the cello, and get paid for it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's ideal. When you can work in your dream passion, that is the dream of most people is to be able to work in their dream passion. So tell me, how did this book come about? What made you decide to write this book? And tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, so it is bass clef black belt, which subtitle A Book of Note Reading Games. So it's all about naming the notes on the bass clef, and it's for anyone who plays an instrument or sings and reads the bass clef. Um, I have students, quite a few, so a surprising number of students who have come to me who are already pretty advanced but really struggle to read the notes. Or maybe they can even play the notes, but they can't name the notes. And it's crippling for them. So there's some books out there, mostly for piano students, but there isn't anything like for cello students or just kind of for everybody. So I wanted to make that and I make it age appropriate for my students. You can do it if you're in middle school or high school or upper elementary or even an adult. Make it engaging. It's karate themed. So it's
Fun.
I really it's for my students and then anyone else who can use it.
So you saw a need because you couldn't find anything out there to lead your students to. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I know exactly what I want, and yeah, it wasn't there.
And it wasn't available. You knew what you wanted, you knew what your students needed, and so you couldn't find it out there, so you created it. So that is the essence of an entrepreneur right there, is seeing a need and feeling that need. So you blocked off time, I would guess. So it was when your children were napping, and then anytime that there was a cancellation and your kids were already at babysitting, you still blocked off that time for your work. And then you would work on your book then, as well as your lesson plans and things like that. Is that correct?
Yes, so nap time is kind of tricky because sometimes they don't take a nap. Sometimes,
Yeah.
so it has to be kind of flexible. I'm like, well, it didn't happen today. It'll probably happen tomorrow. It's okay, and just kind of keep it not stressful.
Yeah. So that writing your book is flexible, having your students is not flexible. Somebody schedules. So for me, having a business, it helps me when I have some external deadlines or other people counting on me for something to really almost force myself to block off that time, right? So if you can set up, those of you who are trying to rock a side hustle like Leticia is, if you can set up things where people are counting on you, that helps you to prioritize it if you have a hard time prioritizing it yourself. And especially if you have children, if you can get help with the children during that specific time and make your business a priority during that time. But the majority of your time, your children are your priority. Is that right? Yeah. So
Yes.
the majority of the time, she's right there and she's fully engaged in her children. And I would guess you're able to be more fully engaged with your children because you have time blocked off for your business. I know a lot of times when people don't have time blocked off for their business, it's always on their mind. You know, they're constantly thinking, I need to be doing this little thing, that little thing. And so they feel like they can't be fully present with their family because they're always trying to find those few little moments here and there to fit in their business, as opposed to having a specific time blocked off so you can relax about it, right? And just focus on your family.
Yeah, and I think it makes me a better mother that I have this time away. So then when I see my kids, I'm excited to see them again and
Mm-hmm.
uh, be to have more fun because I'm not just constantly being drained doing one thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And you're getting that running time in the morning so you don't feel deprived, so to speak, of your own personal needs. I think that's not selfish at all. Some mothers just feel like, oh, if I spend time on myself, then I'm being selfish. Well, the overused analogy of, you got to fill your own bucket before you have something to give is so absolutely true. That you for sure have so much more to give when you are taking care of yourself. Um, so let me see if I have. So tell me, what advice do you have? Any other advice or tips for people that are trying to be both parents and have a small business?
Yeah, I kind of think you can have it all. It's all about prioritizing your time, right? But I think you can have it all. Um, there's I'm kind of a nerd. I like to read books about running in my free time. But this one author, Corey Reese, says, I think anyone can run ultra marathons, which are very long races, um, if they're willing to give up social media and TV. So there's 24 hours a day. There's a lot of time. Um, And there's a lot we can do if we maybe get 1 hour less of sleep that we don't need, or spend a little bit less time on our phones. There really is a lot of opportunity to do everything we want to.
Yeah. And so with that, I think being aware of maybe places where time is being wasted, so to speak, is helpful, because I agree that that's, some people like to unwind with a show at night or something, but then they're tired. And so that one show will drag into 2 shows and 3 shows. And, just because you're on the couch already and you're just, if you don't have that time blocked off for something specific, a lot of time can be wasted. So just being intentional is what I'm hearing you say. Just being intentional about what you're putting into your day instead of just mindlessly scrolling through your phone or watching TV. Yeah. All right, awesome. Let's see if I have anything else. Okay, so any other tips or daily routine things that you would recommend? Any routines or habits that you would suggest that's helped you other than time blocking?
That's all I can think of.
All right. Well, and that is a critical one. I really think that that's probably the most important is prioritizing that. So, and I didn't thank you in the beginning for taking this time to be a part of this podcast, because I know your schedule is super busy, and I'm so happy to have you here and to be able to share your wise advice to business owners and entrepreneurs. So awesome. So let me all right. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for joining us in this Habits for Humans, the podcast that teaches you how to build an amazing life by developing intentional habits. So, remember to check our show notes for your free gifts. And thank you in advance for giving us a positive review. I know that there's some discounts as well as some free cards for your card salad that you can get when you check into this Habits for Humans. And in the show links, there will be a link to Leticia's book. So if you want to check out her book, remind us, Leticia, of the name of your book again.
Bass Clef Black Belt.
Bass Clef Black Belt. It's on Amazon currently, and it is not expensive. It is a very reasonable price and a really must-have, I'm sure, for those who are wanting to develop their theory in the bass clef. So again, thank you so much, Leticia, for joining us, and I hope that you check out her book on Amazon, and we will see you next time in this Habits for Humans podcast.